Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
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 Nick. Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
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 Nick. Nick.
Shane.
Nick. Nick.
Shane.
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 Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
I feel like we should do a dance number for the intro.
A dance number.
Yeah.
I was just sitting here thinking I could do half that song at karaoke.
There you go. Maybe that'll get people to jam along with it. You know what I'm saying? At the
Either that or it'll get people to drink more. One of the two.
Hey, it'll be easy for you to sing along with if you
I think I could. Hi, I'm Shane.
Right. Hello, everybody. Nickolas, Wildstar, California governor candidate, with my main man Shane in the house.
Hi, everybody.
And thank you, Shane, for being here as well. Of course, we got a good night conversation that we're going to be talking about here this evening. And of course, to all of you out there watching, I forgot to get the business out the way, but Anthony is watching. He says, let's go for sure. So if you're out there like Anthony, please definitely drop a comment or a question during the show. We're just two guys talking shit about a whole lot of everything. So tonight in particular, we're going to be talking about political parties and what they've done to we the people. So Shane, do you want to give me a little bit to start with before I go into what I have to say about it? Because there was a situation that happened over the weekend and kind of spawned this conversation. Yeah. And I thought Shane and I could pound it out, you know what I'm saying? But Shane, I'll let you say a little bit before I go on a long-winded,
you long-winded? No, yeah, I mean, look, I think we should start this off by saying it's obvious that Nickolas and I don't feel very strongly and in a positive sense about political parties, particularly Republicans and Democrats. I think that it's safe to say they have failed and they will continue to fail, and their failures will only get worse. Right. And so, as parties go, those are the two. I mean, I think that, we all pay the most attention to. But yeah, neither of us are fans. Hence the shirt, hence the background, right? Please don't feed the animals. Exactly. So yeah, Nickolas, I got to know what happened.
All right. So over the weekend, I got called by a political party to basically join them, leave the Republican Party and run as a candidate for their party. And I just started working. I'm busting my ass like 10, 12-hour days doing construction. And I value my time with my family dearly. And this was a weekend. This was Sunday, actually. And he calls me up. And we're having this conversation. He's first talking about how they saw me during the gubernatorial race and were impressed and wanted me to run as a candidate for their party in the next election, And I'm like, well, why should I represent your party and not continue to run as a Republican? And I'm just hearing what the guy has to offer. I'm not going to name any names. They're not even worth naming. So I can talk about this, put it all out there without putting their ass fully on blast. But if they happen to talk shit in response to this video, just know I'm definitely going to be naming names. But anyways, so he's giving me their pitch pretty much their whole spiel about their campaign platform and, criminal justice reform, homelessness, all of this good stuff. And how it's promoting more of liberty, libertarianism, since that's my background or whatever. And so the argument with him was, why continue to run as a Republican when it has bad branding? You know what I'm saying? So I said, well, it still has a reputation, versus yours has none. And, with people being stuck in this mindset where they must vote Republican, must vote Democrat in order for their vote to even count, that's hard for us to get around. I discovered that running as a libertarian, you know what I mean? So here you are, this new third party coming along. How do you plan on swaying people's mindset away from that, and he's basically saying, that's what the time is for. People are ripe for it. And I'm like, yeah, I agree, but they're not ready for, a third party to come along unless you got a shitload of money or some super celebrity, candidate or something like that. That's the only way. And the same thing reigns true for the Libertarian Party. I hate to say it, but yeah, when it came to money, I asked them, straight up, how much money y'all got? Since I know now it takes money to win elections. I'm not going to be naive. It may not take millions of dollars, but it's going to take a little bit of something. And he's like, well, we leave it up to candidates to fundraise for themselves. And I'm like, well, that's no different than the Republicans or Democrats or libertarians. So, how does that help me? And he's like, well, the donations come directly from the people. And if the Koch brothers came along and gave, the Republicans money, would you take it? I'm like, well, first things first, if he gave the Republicans money, it's not going to go to me,
Right. And it's a trick question because there's only one Koch brother left.
Yeah, right. If there's two of them, we got to really question it. Yeah. But yeah, the Koch brother that's still alive, that's spending the Koch brothers' money, if he gave any to the Republican Party, that definitely wouldn't trickle down to me. But if he gave it to me directly, then him, George Soros, any person out there that likes to spend their money on so-called philanthropy, if they wanted to invest in my campaign, then they should know what they're getting into. And I told them I wouldn't turn down the donors' money. I know where I stand as a candidate and what I'm seeking to achieve once I get elected. And of course, I'm not going to hold back on those desires as a candidate, since I got to promote it as a platform, Right. So I'm going to be open and honest. Everything's going to be transparent. And he's like, well, that sort of makes you a sellout, And I said, no, not really. You know what I'm saying? It's a sellout if I'm selling out my principles, And I said, well, with regards to what you guys are doing, if it came to the point where, we could establish some partnership to promote each other, would you be down for that? Because to me, my enemy's enemy is my friend. I won't say no to you completely, but if we're headed in the same direction, maybe there's something that we can do together.
Sure.
Just recently there was a protest against the vaccine mandates. Parents having to send their kids to school, get the COVID vaccine just to send their kids to school. And I said, if I wanted to host a protest like that, would you guys assist me in organizing that? And he's like, no, I wouldn't do that because, we're supportive of the vaccine. I said, whoa. We got a problem right there, because he's talking about how their campaign platform, their party platform is more promoting of liberty, and he's talking about all of these so-called issues that should resonate with me since I'm a black man, criminal justice reform or whatever. And when it came down to parenting, he felt like the state should still be in control. So What you got for me? You want to
Did
chime in?
did he really believe that criminal justice reform would be a top priority issue for you because you're black?
Yes, definitely. Because he kept saying, well, if you come down to a Black Lives Matter protest where we are, you'll see things operate differently. I said, well, how is that supposed to sway me on the message of criminal justice reform, and working with the Republicans to achieve that? Because from his point of view, it's not going to be obtainable if I continue to run as a Republican. It's not going to happen because the Republicans aren't supportive of it. And I said, no, that's not necessarily true. I've spoken with tons of Republicans,
Right.
who support criminal justice reform. They don't want their tax dollars to go towards paying for a settlement over a person's death, versus the police officer paying for it themselves. The simple things like that. When you talk about fiscal conservatism, and I said, dude, you can't put everybody in the same box, because he kept saying, well, all of the Republicans are racist. I'm like, no, they aren't. I've spoken.
He assumed because you were black that criminal justice reform would be a top issue for you.
Right. I'm telling you, right? Little things like that, they're called microaggressions. They really don't understand.
I call it macro ignorance.
I agree, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's making this assumption that all Republicans are racist. I said that's not true, because Republican voters are different from Republican Party people. And Anthony's right. They
True, Anthony. Yes, he is.
And even Republicans, I mean, Democrats and Libertarians are the same way. The party does not represent or reflect the voters 100%, And he's like, well, we don't have any racists in our party. I said, well, are you sure? Because your candidate for governor got a lot of votes. And I'm pretty sure if you spoke with one of them, that if you've spoken with all of them, there would be at least one that would talk about them illegals, or the Black Lives Matter, something like that. They're going to have some prejudiced view, because racism can't be controlled, or prejudice can't be controlled. The institution of racism can, and that changes with we the people making reform to where we see it being applied institutionally, with our law system, with our healthcare system, with our educational system, with our monetary system. It's sad and it's true. And anybody that wants to, argue against it are simply just being, ignorant to the fact of the matter. It's truth, But anyway, yeah. So when I said this, I said, well, hey, let's just cut down to the bottom of it. I'm like, that's a red flag to me, because if you talk about wanting to help Black people, but you're also telling me that the state should be in control of our children, you're not helping the Black community,
No.
You're not helping Black people potentially, And he's like, well, you're a sellout, because you're continuing to work with the Republicans. I said, no, bro. A sellout would be me going into their circle and them talking about abortion and, a woman's right to choose should be controlled by the state, and me going along with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a sellout. I'm selling out on my principle. I'm selling out on, my character, everything I have, I stand true to, just so I can get their money and their vote, Right. I said, but no, I'm actually going in those circles and I'm challenging them on that argument, and then, if anything, circling back to say, if you want to be a classical Republican, you should be supportive of abolishing the state, from getting involved with personal choice, and freedom. Yep. And so I said, man, you're an asshole. Don't ever call me again. You're calling me on a Sunday where I'm hanging out with my son, my family, and you call me with this bullshit, because now I'm yelling at him. You know what I'm saying?
Did you?
Yeah, it was cool, calm until he started calling me a sellout. Oh, now you insulted me, motherfucker. We got problems, you know?
Oh man,
So yeah, my wife
what
comes into the
chapter?
room and she's like, "What happened?" You know, and I was like, "It just went from 0 to 100 real quick." You know,
Oh man,
not in the direction we wanted.
oh
You know,
yeah, man, you can't lose your cool.
no, but that's the thing is, if you insult me, you know what I'm saying, on a level to where as a man, you know, we only can stand on so much as human beings. And you
Sure,
know, as a man, it's like we only have so many virtues in this day and age that we can defend. And my beliefs and my principles, my morals is one of them. You know, that's
right.
the line in the sand. If you're gonna insult me on that level, you can call me an asshole. You can, you
Right.
can do all
So
types of things.
yeah, so
Yeah.
let's break this story down if I can. So this is the way that I'm hearing it, right? Is that for you, a political party is about a business decision.
Yes.
Which party is going to best help you and which party will you best fit with? Is there a marriage? Can we move forward with this process together? Right?
Exactly.
So for
Yes.
you, it's a business decision. For this guy, right? It was
Yes.
clearly personal. And
Yeah.
he took you, the fact that you went so far as to say, hey, I don't want to be your party's candidate, but how can we help each other? And for that to devolve into him calling you a sellout, right? That to me, right? This guy is so emotionally attached and is so he was offended that you had the audacity to tell him no.
Right.
Right? I
Exactly.
mean, after all, they want criminal justice reform and you're black. How could you say no to that?
Right.
I
you
just,
know,
man, I just can't, I
we're
can't
supposed
wrap
to
my
get
head around it.
reparations too, you know. I'm like, hey, you got all the talking points down, but wrong person, you know, because that shit ain't resonating with me. You know, it's
No,
going in one ear and out the other. And to me, it has nothing to do with black, white. You know, it has nothing to do with race issues. It has to deal with fundamentals. And as a parent, I always want to be able to have say so over what happens to my child, period. I don't want the government to be able to tell me which school they should be going to based on the neighborhood that I live in, or how much of my tax dollars should be going towards an educator versus supplies and materials and overhead, or that they need to have something injected into their body just to attend that public school that I'm paying for. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So that's what I told him. I said, it has nothing to do with Trump Republicans, because that's what he kept saying. Well, the people out there protesting against the vaccines, those anti-vaxxers, they're Trump Republicans. And I actually posted some on my Instagram page today. I wanted to share with everybody, if I may, because it actually shows a few articles from 2019. Okay, before the whole coronavirus crisis began, I mashed a few headlines that I could find here into one. So that's why it looks the way that it does. But you got one here saying anti-vaccine press conference about California's SB 276, checking facts, because that was a law passed in California in 2018. California's GOP is so desperate, it's going to bat for anti-vaccine uber liberals. This was in September of 2019. This one right here, SB 276, is now law, and anti-vaxxers are not the new civil rights movement. This is in September 2019. So you see, the left-leaning liberal media was already attacking parents that were against vaccine mandates in California before the coronavirus crisis happened. They weren't calling them Trumpers, you
Right.
know, and even here, the LA Times admits the California GOP distanced themselves, from them, because some of them did support that mandate. You know what I mean? But they
Right.
got desperate at some point to where they started hearing him out simply because it feeds more into that right left argument and fighting and tug of war bullshit. So they'll jump on whatever, the people on the left don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Of
Just
course.
to see the counter argument against it all. And, it's sad because we can't even look at issues anymore without it being Republican, Democrat, black, white, right, left. It's like we should just be looking at it as Americans with our freedoms versus not freedom, So, yeah, that's what it
Man.
pissed me off because I'm like, it just showed even more about how all political parties are the same. They recruit candidates like talent. I kind of see political parties being resemblance of record labels. When I was in the music industry,
All
because
right.
the record label wants to acquire the best talent possible so they can sell records.
Sure.
So they'll tell the artist, sign this record deal and I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you a fancy house, a car, and all of that. And the artists, because that's really what they want, they don't care about selling albums or,
Right.
connecting with people. They sign on the dotted line and they take the advancement, the
Right.
money.
Like MC Hammer.
Exactly. And then once it comes to where you're selling millions of albums, you're like, hey, I should be getting a cut of that. No, according to this contract, it said you only get so much, and now
Right.
you actually owe us. So political parties work the same way. When they recruit a candidate, that they think has enough appeal, enough attraction to promote the party and be a representative, they'll ask them to run for a certain position. This running or what is it? You were part of the party where you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I ran for office up in Washington, and then I was part of the Libertarian Party for a while.
Yeah, so you already know, when it comes to the structure, you have your, conventions and the socials and all of that stuff. And as chair for the Fresno Libertarian Party, I actually eliminated that. I'm like, we don't need to be getting together and, trying to hang out and talk shit and all of that. We need to go out in the streets, make some change and do some things in the community,
Right.
That's what's going to inspire people to want to get involved with our party or see what we're doing and see our works and be like, wow, they're really being proactive. Let me get involved with them,
Right.
versus the Republican or Democrats or whatever. They just come along when it's election season. These are guys are out here 24/7 doing something. So, yeah, community cleanups, feeding the homeless, that sort of a thing. Always take the initiative on. Even this weekend, I'm going to be hosting the cleanup for Halloween.
Saw that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm asking everybody to get involved nationwide. We're going to be doing it virtually if you want to get involved. But we don't need political parties to, spearhead that change in the community. I don't know why we rely on them to supposedly do that, or even the elected representatives. They're not doing shit,
So we once had a president, it was our first one, who said, hey, you probably shouldn't have political parties. Those are a bad idea.
Right.
Right? Because political parties only serve to divide people. So back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, somebody had caught on political parties are a bad idea. And yet, right, we just went with them anyway.
Here we are.
Whig Party, we had the Democrats, right? So we did it anyway. But the question is for me, right? Why? Why do we do it?
Right.
Why do we? You talk to your average run-of-the-mill person who doesn't claim to be Republican or Democrat, but who votes Republican or Democrat, right?
Right.
Why do they do it? Election after election after election, they vote Republican or Democrat, knowing full well that they're not going to accomplish anything by doing it.
Right.
To me, right, it comes down to fear. And so are we there? Are we going to talk about fear? Because we got a video.
Hey, yeah, we can do that, man. We need to switch it up.
So let's do this. Let me set this up.
All right.
We're going to talk about fear, but this is a video. We won't watch the whole thing, maybe a minute or two, because you'll get the point pretty quick. The thing with fear is that the thing with this video, right? This is a video about I think a pretty attractive woman. Normally, she seems like she'd be very attractive, but then something strange happens. So let's go ahead and cue this up.
You got it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Who's that? Oh my God.
I'll do one more. There. It's great timing. Look, you may not know it by looking, but that is an otherwise very beautiful woman. Right? That face, that's not what she does.
Right.
Right? That's not who she is. That's not what she does. I guarantee you, I said this before.
He is pissed at this video, I'm sure. She's anything like my wife.
Right? But here's the thing, right? She wasn't out having drinks with her girlfriends one night and making that face, right? And her husband came along and went, yeah, I'll take a slice of that to go. I mean, right? This is not how you get ahead in life.
Right.
Is by making those faces and going, "Ugh!" Right? It doesn't work.
Right.
But the point is, and the reason I want to show this, yeah, of course it's funny. But the thing is this, is that fear causes us to react unnaturally. It causes us to behave unnaturally. We don't do the things that are true to ourselves and true to what we actually believe in when we operate from a place of fear.
Right.
And look, you take your average conversation about Democrats and Republicans, we can get rid of the video, but you take your average conversation. I'll watch that. Look, for me to be able to have this conversation tonight, I had to watch that video like 10 or 15 times just to get the out of the system.
Oh, yeah. A couple more.
A couple more? All right.
Because it looks like they're just having way too much fun scaring this lady for no reason. For 6 years? I mean, come on. You think at some point.
Who does that? Right?
You think at some point she'd start preparing and knowing,
Here's the thing, man. Not if she's scared.
What's up, TJ? Good evening to you.
Hey, TJ. So that's the whole point, right? We're laughing, right? Because in this case, it's funny. But it's not funny when we're voting Republican and Democrats, is it?
Right. It is.
Not. And it's because when you're afraid, you make unnatural decisions. You do unnatural things. You are not in your right mind. You are in survival mode. And when it comes to election time, right? Look, when's the last time a Republican candidate voiced an idea to do anything that we all went, wow, that's a good idea, right? Nobody. I'm sorry. There are some people, right? Think a wall.
I was a Republican candidate.
Right. Democrats.
I see myself more so as an outsider. I don't attach to the label, and that's what I told him. I said, look, I could get elected as a Republican, but the minute I get elected, I could easily switch myself to a registered independent, and now I'm not a Republican anymore. So the parties are nothing but a vehicle.
Well, for when you're making a business decision, you're correct. But when you're making a decision about where you're going to vote and how you're going to vote, when fear is driving your choice, when you're voting for one team because you're scared to death of the other, right? That's look, we had an election not that long ago, right? Where Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were the two best options that both parties could come up with.
Right.
followed by an election where it was Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I mean, it just gets more embarrassing,
Right.
right? And yet, one of those two is going to win because a little more than one half of this country is scared to death of the other.
Retaliatory voting, you know?
It's fear. It is all fear. It is all fear. Why do we associate with a party?
I mean, even look at the last election here in California, the recall. Gavin Newsom used fear to stoke into the Democratic voters, to get them to vote no on the recall. Even though they may not agree with everything that he's done, they looked at the Trump Republican,
Right.
as the enemy and propped him up to say, hey, this is a reason why you should be voting no. And they did. They followed suit.
Right.
Even if they did vote no or vote yes, they still covered their bases by voting for a Democratic candidate, to make sure that their bases were covered. But you're right. It's sad that we've kind of fallen victim to this, victim mentality, where we know the scaremongering exists. We just don't do anything about it.
Well, and here's the thing. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to say, hey, stop trying to scare us? That's not going to happen. They're never going to stop trying to scare you. That's what their programming is about, right?
Right.
It's all about fear all the time. It's a simple choice is what it comes down to, is you can choose not to be scared anymore. You can vote third party, fourth party, fifth party, right? And not be afraid that one of the other two big parties are going to win because your vote went elsewhere, right? That's the math doesn't even work. The nonsensical, I got to vote blue or red because no one else is going to vote yellow, or no one else is going to vote green, or no one else is going to vote purple, or whatever the other color, is, right? It's a fear-based decision, right? That you are telling yourself that this time around I'm going to be Republican, this time around I'm going to be Democrat, right? Because I'm so afraid. I know this party, I know this candidate, they don't represent me, they don't represent what I want, but I just know the other guy is really what I don't want, and that I'm really scared of.
Right.
And so now I'll take it a step further. Association with a party. I've associated with two parties. You've associated with three parties, right? Over the years, right? Why do we associate with a political party?
Are you asking me, or is that a rhetorical question?
It's rhetorical. Because it's fear. The reason we associate with the parties in the first place is fear, right? Is that if we're not part of that crowd, if we're not accepted, then we are rejected.
Yeah.
And the idea of that is terrifying.
Yeah. I would say, as a candidate, what you were talking about with regards to it being a business deal and the fear of that business deal going wrong, not getting what you want out of it, which is, of course, to get elected, and getting screwed over in the end. But for people that look at one that wants to run for office and say you want to obtain power, because he also said that too, man, you're just power hungry. You just want to be in power. I said, yeah, so I can, unweave what what the people in power have done to give that power back to we the people. It's like that libertarian meme. We're plotting to take over the world to leave you alone. It's like there's nothing wrong with what I'm seeking to do. If anything, if I have malintent to want to use that power or wield that power, hold on to that power desperately, out of fear, then that's where it becomes a red flag, because that's what's happening right now with this whole pandemic panic. Is you have a lot of elected officials that saw this opportunity as a way to cling on to power, use that fear, the scare tactics to get people in this position where they feel like they need to be protected, and then capitalize on it, So that's what's happening right now more than ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's, I mean, that to me, that's what it comes down to. Oh, yes.
Alec Baldwin needs to make a new movie with the cast of The View. Change my mind.
You know what, Jack? That is such a bold and brilliant statement that I'm not going to try.
I don't even know why he would want to do that, but
thanks for tuning in, Jack. I'm glad you're here.
Pandemic for
Pandemic
sure.
for sure. Hey, Lonnie's on beat.
Yeah, I mean, they're using this pandemic as an opportunity again to capitalize on the fear being, being instilled in people.
Right.
And because of that, they don't want to let it go. You have a lot of people that don't want them to let that go. The recall again is another perfect example, because Newsom was saying, hey, whoever gets elected, they're going to undo what we did to protect you from this deadly coronavirus. Oh no, please don't do that. So they kept his ass in office. And even on the national level, them capitalizing on fear, Joe Biden, targeting Trump and saying how he was going to be doing worse to the country and its people than he would ever do. Now look at what he's doing.
Right. But it's just, the thing is,
so different.
Right? I mean, we saw it coming, though, didn't we?
Oh yeah, for sure.
From a million miles away, we saw it coming.
And the people in the know, and I would say even the people that we think are in the dark, they knew what was coming. When you got Joe Biden out there saying, if you ain't black if you don't vote for me, and
no one knows what it's like to be black more than Joe Biden.
Right.
Well, that's not true. Bill Clinton did. He was our first black president. But
I don't know who gave him that title, but yeah.
He did, didn't he?
Let's go, Brandon, for sure. Exactly.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I see that all over the place, man. We're going to have to talk about that. So for those of you who don't watch the Nick and Shane show, I don't watch the news. I don't pay attention. But I am seeing "Let's Go Brandon" all over the place. Can we segue into that? What is that about?
All right. So there was, I guess, a sports event, and the newscaster thought the people were chanting "Let's go Brandon" since Biden was there, but really they were saying "Fuck Joe Biden," and yeah. So now it's become this new, saying that if you say "Let's go Brandon," you're really saying "Fuck Joe Biden."
Was this on TV?
Jack B says NASCAR. No one was shouting.
NASCAR. No, you're correct. NASCAR, I'm sure no one was shouting.
And the announcer is like, the crowd is chanting, "Let's go Brandon." I don't know why, It's
that poor announcer too.
But
oh yeah, what's the poor announcer supposed to say?
Right.
Good
Exactly.
for him for making up "Let's Go Brandon."
Right. He made it a moniker now. So
oh man.
Speaking of Brandon, there was something recently that happened in the news, Shane. I showed it on my Instagram also. For people out there, if you want to connect with me on social media, please do so at Governor Wildstar on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, if you're watching this video, of course, and TikToks. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe, okay? If you guys don't know, I was booted from YouTube for like 3 months and just got my channel back in October. So I would love to get those numbers back up and, of course, expand my connectivity, my awareness, my reach, all that good stuff. So share, comment, like, subscribe, all that good shit. It just helps the algorithm. But yeah, anyway.
I was going to say, if you want to connect with me on social media, go to all of Nick's social media. And I'll
there you go. Yeah. And then you connected with Shay. There you go. So yeah, this article just came out and I shared it on my Instagram also. Biden administration in talks to pay nearly $500,000 to each immigrant that was separated at the border when Trump was in office. Okay. So now he wants to give immigrants that was in those cages during the time when Trump was in office, even though they're still there while Biden was in office, and possibly were there when Obama was in office. Nearly $500,000. I want to stretch that out just so y'all can swallow all of that. $500,000, $450,000 to all of those people. Yeah. Your tax dollars at work here. Shane, what do you think? Especially with the also the discussion out there about reparations for Black people.
Look, man, I think anything we can do to print more money, to devalue it before we give it away to people who need it, who by the time it gets to them, right, it will be worthless.
Right.
But at least we'll be able to say, hey, we at least tried before we screwed you completely. Right? Look, there's no what can you even say to this? Like, it's not even worth, to me, it's not even worth getting upset over. I'm at the point now where I go for it, man. I think you should do it. I think it's a good idea.
This is so disgusting.
When my son was like 10, 12 years old, he would talk about, man, when I get my driver's license, man, I'm driving through the mall. Like through the parking lot or through the mall? No way, man. I want to drive through the mall. You know what? I think that's a good idea. You should do that. When you're 16 and get your license, that's what you should do. And I told him,
see how long you keep that license, you know?
Well, hey, man, you know, it turns out that he smartened up, and it turns out that he was just being a child when he said what he said.
Right.
Right. But I mean it here. Look, if the Biden administration wants to pay people $450,000 to immigrants who were separated at the border, that means that emotions are involved. It's not like they came to the border, but they got here and then they were separated. I mean,
yeah. All right. So this is my argument against doing such a thing. The fact that we again are in this so-called crisis, and you have American families that are SOL. You know, they've been out of work for over the past year. You know, some of them have had economic hardship because, you know, their kid hasn't been able to go to school, and, you know, they've had money on child care services, etc. What about the American people here, Shane?
The American people got $3,200. Are you kidding me? That offset the unemployment, that offset COVID. I mean, what more could you with $3,200?
Right, we should be good.
You should be good. And you already had a job. These immigrants don't have a job. They're immigrants.
That's true.
You know, everybody who's watching, all tongue in cheek here, joking.
And we also did force them to come here. You know what I'm saying?
We did.
So we're responsible for the damage we've done for, you know, forcing them to come here and endure even more hardship, even though we're going through our own hardship.
Now here's where it gets interesting, right? So for me, I get that you're joking. We didn't ask them to come. We didn't force them here. And yet, when you take a look at our economic policies and the war on drugs, yeah, we kind of did, didn't we?
Right. That is true.
Right. We kind of did want them to come up.
Stabilizing other world economies, you know, destroying their government, just like what your buddy was talking about on the last show in Afghanistan.
Yes.
You know? Now you have the Taliban saying, hey, to the IMF and, you know, the World Bank or whatever the hell, release money. Give us our money. We're a country and we have our own money. Let us use our money, you know. And they're freezing their assets, freezing their accounts, because this new government that the people are okay with is now in power. But yet, since you have world powers that are not supportive of this regime change, that they're freezing their accounts and shit. So, and it's hard for them to establish relationship with other countries. People just think shit is easy. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. But let's, I mean, I think this goes back to what I was saying before about fear, right? The war on drugs was about fear. Our economic policies are about fear. Our foreign policy is about fear. We always act. We have been and I don't want to take anything away from any of our soldiers, anybody who fought bravely or any of that. But look, since World War II, America has been the epitome of paranoia and fear, right? Since post World War II. I mean, the Dulles brothers took us right down that road, and they're celebrated as heroes. And the truth of the matter is they were paranoid wackadoos, man. They were scared of their own shadows.
Wackadoos.
I don't have a better word. I'm trying not to swear, man, just in case little ears are listening. But it's.
Look, I've been profane throughout this entire thing.
I know.
I guess I'm the crass part of this show.
Hey, man, look, people know me. I'm crass. I can be crass. I've been crass before.
It's fine. We can let this be the balance. Good cop, bad cop.
All right.
When we get off camera, it could be the other way around.
The other way around, which is kind of the way it is. You know what? How about next week? I'll swear.
All right. I look forward to it.
We can switch it up. But yeah, man,
bite my tongue.
Yep. But it all comes back to fear. Fear causes us to do unnatural things. We were afraid of drugs because we were told to be afraid of drugs. We launched the war on drugs. We supported the war on drugs. Right. We destroyed economies around the world. Everybody's upset about cartels, the drug cartels. These guys have millions and billions of dollars, and they have all this power and all this weaponry. And, without the war on drugs, they wouldn't. In fact, if it hadn't been for the war on drugs, you'd have a lot of middle-class farmers down in South America going like, I don't think I'd go to America other than to visit, maybe vacation.
Straight up. And they'd be very wealthy.
If not very wealthy, they would be middle class and comfortable. They would be happy doing what they enjoyed doing.
They would have enough money where they are to where they wouldn't need to come up on our shores, because we screwed up their country,
Right.
And we should bear some responsibility to fix all of what we've done.
Maybe $450,000 per person worth of responsibility. Yeah, no, it's overkill. But at the end of the day, right? So care to fill me in real quick? Oh, Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
We're like 50 minutes into an hour-long show, man. We can't fill you in real quick.
Well, obviously, Patrick, we're talking about we the people and how we like to party, get involved with political parties and play into their political party bullshit, even though it hasn't helped us. Ever since George Washington warned, our nation's first president said, stay away from that whole political party shit. Please. It's going to be the death of our country. And look at what's happening right now. It's killing us. We're letting it kill us. We're playing into it with the fear game. You know what I'm saying? So
and here's the one last thing. And
you said it was
in the chat. I see.
What's going on with the chat?
All right. So here's the. Oh man, I just lost my train of thought. Cool. Let's move along.
All right. So Lonnie Beal says, Patrick, come on, man. See, we got our Facebook chatters talking with our YouTube chatters through the show. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. The fact that we've got people watching on both platforms.
Exactly.
Dude, I already almost feel like a million. Are we at celebrity status yet? We're on TV.
Yeah.
People are watching on both.
We're going on Joe Rogan and The View.
Yeah. I keep ignoring their calls. I mean, we'll eventually get to them.
Right.
Yeah.
One of these days. But at this point, like I said, best way for we the people to bypass the devastation that the political party system has done to our community is just start doing whatever we want them to do ourselves. We want, you know, we want to make sure that our neighbors have food on their table and, you know, their kids have clothes on their backs, then go and talk to them. You know, today,
Right.
today my son and I, we went and did canvassing ourselves since my wife had to work and I don't have a big campaign staff team. So we had to go out there and hit the streets to pass out flyers for the Halloween cleanup that I'm doing this weekend. Here's the digital flyer for you guys. Like I said, if you want to get involved, it is a nationwide cleanup that we're going to be doing on Halloween. Somebody asked me, they said, are we supposed to bring our trash out and you go clean it up? No, no, no. That is not what this is. We're going to pick up the trash because people on Halloween like to eat their damn candy and throw the trash right there on the street. And it pisses me off when I come outside of my house and I just see litter there. You know, I like a clean environment. I don't know about you, but I want our planet to be here for our children and our children's children and the children's children, you know? So, yes, let's clean up our streets. And that's what we're going to do this Sunday, right? LOL, I can't see Facebook, but word, y'all are famous. I got 2 tickets to FC's play. Thank you very much, Patrick. I don't know if you want those tickets to FC's Island or whatever.
Yeah, you know what, Patrick? I think we'll let those tickets go to that political party that was bugging Nickolas at the beginning of the show we were talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those guys can
donate it to them. But yeah, man, I'm doing it myself. You know, my wife, she's gonna get involved. We're gonna go out there with my son. Got a few other volunteers, people saying that they'll you know, be out there with us. But if they don't, we're still gonna be there, you know.
Yeah.
And that's because I don't want to have to wait for the city to organize a cleanup in my neighborhood, you know. I want the streets to be clean. I'm going to clean it up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, look, I think you can probably be arrested for that. But I don't know. If you're in California, there's got to be a law. You probably need a permit or a license to pick up trash on the street.
That's true. We may get ticketed. We may be breaking the law.
Right.
But that's why we're going to be carrying our Constitution with us and let people know that we live in a free country. And that's what it really takes is for us to start acting on those principles. You know, don't let a political party dictate that for you. Don't let them box it up and say what you should agree to and what you shouldn't agree to. You know, if you agree to the sentiment, the idea of my body, my choice, then don't let a political party dictate what that applies or doesn't apply to. You know, you should be a free thinker and decide for yourself and then vote accordingly. If you don't find them in those 2 parties, find another damn party with a candidate that does check off all of those boxes, or at least enough for you to be like, you know, you deserve the job, but stop supporting the broken political system.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Look, man, you brought up critical thinking. I had a buddy of mine earlier today was talking about critical thinking. And look, I'll just be candid. You can do all the critical thinking you want. Until you overcome the fear, you're screwed. It doesn't, and until you overcome your fear, you're screwed. And when it comes to politics, until you, me, we individually overcome our fear, we're all screwed.
Yeah. I think that's what it takes, though, is for you to be brave to even act on, you know, doing something differently. You know, that's a courageous act these days. It's not towing the line and going along with status quo. You know, Patrick, dog, this is a fascist country and cops are too dumb to understand that Constitution. NBC broke the intelligence cap for cops in like 2012. That's the sad truth. So
here's the thing, though. I'm going to jump on that one.
Be brave, you know.
I'm going to jump on that one. Can you bring it back up?
All right, and then we're going to wrap things up here.
Yeah. All right. So he says, "Dog, this is a fascist country." No, Patrick, it feels fascist. You're scared. There's a lot to be afraid of, but America is not a fascist country. It looks like we're going in that direction. It feels like we're going in that direction, but that's fear. At any point in time, you can change your mind and do something different. You can't control what anyone else does, but you can change. Cops are too dumb to understand that Constitution. Look, the cop thing, man, it's no different than blaming the gun, right? Cops are responsible for their own behavior. No two ways about that. But to blanket and peanut butter this idea about cops in general is no different than blaming the gun.
That is true. Absolutely.
Right? So and here's the thing, and I don't mean to jump in his stuff here tonight, right? Because I don't want to like be argumentative about it, but look, man, it's all about our mindset, and it's all about what we're going to choose to believe. And when we're labeling things or calling things names or whatever, we only ever do that out of fear.
Yeah, true that.
Right? So we gotta grow up. Amen, Tom.
Shoot that, Tom. It says Wildstar all the way. I'll get her done. You damn Skippy. I'm not afraid to get it done. And give me the opportunity to get the job done. And you'll see without a doubt very quickly, I will not be operating out of fear. I will not be operating out of hatred. I will not be operating out of prejudice. And I think that's the refreshing aspect that people are looking for when it comes to representation. Our public officials, they don't seem to really reflect what we want as a community. So stop supporting them, people. Please stop the insanity. Stop reacting in fear. Shit. Stop retaliating. You get in that voting booth, and if you're afraid of the left or afraid of the right, or hate the left or hate the right, then you're voting in opposition simply because of a negative aspect. There's nothing positive about this. There's nothing principled about that. So yeah.
Yep. But at the end of the day, when it comes to our elections, we're not principled people. As much as we tell ourselves we are, we're not.
Yeah. And that's
Patrick,
action.
Yeah. And Patrick, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I understand what you're saying. I do. It's about mindset for me. I'm not saying you're factually wrong, but
yeah, don't take it personal, Patrick. Shane is just a cynical person. So
I am, man. I'm all about cynicism.
Right. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get out of here until next week, Friday, when we'll be back to talk about more crazy things going on in the world. So we appreciate you guys for being here. Patrick, Tom, Jack, everybody that jumped in on the conversation. My man, TJ, everybody that dropped comments. Even if you didn't drop a comment, we appreciate you watching. And if you are watching in the future, definitely please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good shit. Yeah. And connect with me on social media right there at the bottom of the screen. So
yes. And connect with me on his social media. And hey, next week, if you're watching and you're not commenting, what is wrong with you?
Right. We're asking you to comment or ask the question. So
don't
get involved.
Live in fear. Ask your questions. Give us your comments.
You know what? I think next show, Shay, we'll drop the link so people can actually jump in the studio. How does that sound? All right. So viewers, next show, we'll drop a link so you can jump in the studio and you can make your comment or question live during the Nick and Shay show. So
that would be awesome, man. That would be awesome to make it interactive. I would love that. I would love that. Just make next week will just be open topic. Whatever you want to ask Nick and Shane about.
For sure. Let's do
it. Do it.
All right, you guys. We're going to get out of here and take care. Have a good night.
Yes, take care.
Y'all. Peace. Hold on. Wrong button. I'm going to get this right one of these days, okay?
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Nick.
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 Shane. Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Nick.
Shane.
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm 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 Shane.